20 minutes to do the presentation, and I'll give her a little wave at 15 minutes to let her know about the time. And then after our presentation, we're going to ask you all to leave, and then the panel will deliberate and determine how she did. Okay? So if you could make sure your cell phones are off, that would be awesome. Okay? Ready?
Thank you all for coming, and this is my senior exhibition on dog training. So when I initially thought about what I was going to do for my senior ex, I thought I would go into music production. I really love to sing, and I've been singing for as long as I can remember, and I thought it would be really interesting to make some professional content with a soundboard and upload it onto YouTube and make some videos. But I decided that I already have so many musical avenues through show choir and chorus and voice and jazz all-state and classical all-state. It's just a lot, and I wanted to try something new. So I thought maybe I would make a painting or a sculpture. I really like art, but I only really express myself artistically through music, even though I'm a very artistic person. So I thought that that would be fun. So I took a murals class earlier in the semester, and it was super frustrating and super hard, and I just had a really hard time with it. I really liked the way it turned out, but that took me 3 months to make, and I just didn't want to make a big presentation out of it. So I was thinking, what am I going to do for my senior ex? But then certain life decisions came into play. My anxiety started to be the worst it has ever been. I was having really bad panic attacks and just a lot of depression, and I was dealing with a lot of hardships at home and at school, and it was getting really difficult, and I felt really isolated. So I decided that I needed to do something for myself, so I got a dog. After speaking with my psychiatrist, I got my new puppy last summer, and I got him recognized as an emotional support animal. An emotional support animal is an animal of a person's choice who gives them help while they deal with their mental illness or whatever it is that they deal with. And some people choose ferrets or snakes. I chose a dog. And according to the definition of disability under the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Fair Housing Act, and the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, I'm entitled to have him live with me. So he's coming to Southern Maine Community College with me this fall. And there's a little bit to say about my dog. His name is Jua Kali, which means bright sun in Swahilian, because I knew that he would be my sunshine. And I got him last summer, as I said before, as a 3-month-old Newfoundland Golden Retriever mix, and he's a rescue from Tennessee. He provides me with a lot of comfort and does his job as an emotional support animal very well, but he also has some emotional issues. He has a lot of anxiety as well, so it's really hard to go in public with him because he pulls away on his leash, and he's scared of new things and new places and new smells and new people. So after my interview with licensed dog breeder Megan Smith, we decided that his fear may stem from a stressful situation exposed to when he was a baby, because when I got him, he was recovering from mange, and he had worms and fleas, and he was underweight and very bloated. So I don't think that he had the best startup, and obviously when I got him, I gave him the best home that I could, and he's been loved ever since, but I can't change what happened to him when I couldn't be with him. So my biggest concern is that he doesn't get to enjoy the world as much as I wish he could. So I wanted to devote my senior exhibition to him since he has already been so much for me. And so I chose dog training, which leads me to my essential question: how can dog training make a canine more confident, and how can training strengthen a bond between a dog and their owner? So I do have some prior knowledge working with animals. I have been a volunteer at the SPCA for the last 2 years, and what I mostly do there is socializing with the animals as well as taking upkeep of the shelter. So these dogs and cats, they haven't been in a home, some of them, or they have been in a home and now they're in a cage and they don't understand, and it's really stressful. So I try and get them back in the flow of being accepted by people and being able to love people again or tolerate people again. But I wouldn't say that I really do any training there. The closest I've ever had to training is when I was little. I would watch Victoria Stilwell's It's Me or the Dog on Animal Planet, and it was basically just a reality TV show. But it did show me one thing that she focused on that I really liked a lot was no force, and like no choke collars, no prong collars, no shock collars, like no hitting your dog. And obviously I didn't want to do that. I never planned on doing that, but I just liked the idea that someone else felt the same way. And the other knowledge that I have is that I did have a dog of my own before. When I was 2, my family got a Shetland sheepdog, and she walked me to school every day and walked me home every day. And she was a really smart, intelligent, well-behaved dog. But she died 2 years ago, and it just really showed me that like dogs could behave very well. So I thought all dogs would behave very well, and I was really wrong. And what's pictured is me snuggling with the dog named Margot at the SPCA. So I needed some help learning how to get a dog to behave or just accept the world as much as I wanted to. So this is when I met my mentor, Whitney Thurston. She's the owner and lead trainer at Salty Dogs Obedience, an adventure in Blue Hill. And Miss Gertler introduced her to me, my guidance counselor, in January when I was telling her about my senior exhibition. And I really loved working with Whitney Thurston because she loves her job, she's excellent at it, and you can tell how much she cares about it, and she's very popular throughout Eastern Maine. So at our first meeting, we came up with a plan. I told her about my hopes for Southern Maine Community College in the fall and making a smooth, easy transition for him. And she told me her first impression of him, and that he was kind of shy and scared, but he was sweet and he was capable of learning, as many dogs are. So she told me to join her tricks class to strengthen his confidence. And from that interview, she taught me how teaching a dog tricks strengthens communication and strengthens the dog's confidence. It makes it easier for him to understand what good behavior is, thus making him easier. So I joined the tricks class. So a general class routine has 4 dogs and 4 owners usually, and we're just in pairs in our little separate corners of the room. And what we start off with is little puzzles, like in the picture there's a snuffle mat, like behind me and Jua, and then on the chair there's a little like brain puzzle, and that's just to get them like situated in the studio and have them be able to like calm down and also have fun. So what Whitney does is she shows an example of a trick and like how to do it and how to get your dog to understand it and shape it into an actual real thing that they can understand. And then she comes around and helps us individually with each of the dogs ourselves so that she can individualize it to our own needs. And then we go home and practice, and we come back next week to learn a couple more. So I really liked this class, and it was a lot of fun, but there were some struggles. So it was a very new and exciting place, and Jua had never been in a class before, so he didn't know how to behave in a class setting. And it was kind of hard for him to be around new people and wanting to play with other dogs because he loves other dogs and doesn't understand why he can't hop on top of them. And he was just kind of scared. So, but I knew that like that wasn't going to be the way it was forever. So Whitney taught me about high reward treats to keep focus on me, because when your dog isn't focusing on you, it's because the outside is more rewarding and playing outside is more of the reward. So I have to make him focus on me with high reward treats because he's very food oriented. So instead of like a basic like dog kibble, I'll use like bacon or ham. And that makes him want to pay attention more to me, which is really good for the class. And to make things less scary, what I would do was counter conditioning. So for example, he's very scared of doorways. So like if he has to like run through a doorway, he's like really nervous about it and doesn't want to go through. So I would give him like high reward treats every time he would come closer to the doorway, or I would praise him throughout the entire time, and it just made it like this scary thing is actually a rewarding thing, and it kind of knocks the two together into its own normal setting. So we did pass. We passed the class and we learned 10 tricks, and this one I just wanted to show you guys some of the tricks that we learned. You ready? Mm-hmm. Paw. Other paw. High five. Other high five. Good boy. This one's crawl. Ready? Mm-hmm. Crawl. Good boy. So yeah, as you can see, like most of these tricks are just like really silly and like not really like anything to like make your dog like more obedient, but what it really did was give him a lot of confidence, and it just made it also easier for me to learn how to like communicate with him. High reward treats, lots of treats. And it also just made us kind of closer, and that made him easier to like be a comfort support system for me. And we decided that like this was a really good challenge, but we want to go even farther. So we moved on to the Canine Good Citizen. A Canine Good Citizen is a certification required for many therapy dogs, and it recognizes exceptional temperament, and they have to meet these 10 requirements, which are accepting a friendly stranger, sitting politely for petting, allowing grooming, walking on a loose leash, sitting and staying in place, walk through a crowd, recall, acceptable reaction to another dog, reaction to distraction, and supervised separation. So this is kind of similar to this tricks class in the sense where we learn two or three of these things a week, and then we go home and practice. But this was definitely a more ambitious goal. Because with the tricks class, it was mostly just, the test was mostly about just me and Jua one-on-one and maybe a couple objects. But this class was testing us on new people and new places and new things. So it was definitely a newer thing. And it tackled a lot of what Jua really struggles with, is fear with all of these different things. So, and we were also, again, the least experienced in our class. Jua was the youngest, and I also was the youngest among the people. And so that made it kind of hard. But I don't give up, and we decided to just take it one step at a time. And the class is going to be what it's going to be, and I wanted it to be really helpful on at least a couple things instead of trying to scramble and pass all 10. So just more counter conditioning, making these scary things more rewarding with more food and more praise and more play. And desensitization, just like doing it over and over and over again, making it less exciting, making it less scary and more normalized. And what we did a lot to show that like he's growing a lot is going out in public ourselves and just like going people watching, which is what Wendy calls it, is just when you go in public and you sit with your dog and you just watch everything happen, all the people, all the cars, all the dogs, and none of it like is interacting with you or your dog, so it's less exciting and it's less about the dog, so they don't really care as much. So we technically failed. We had 6 out of the 10 criteria passed. This is him passing one of them. That's allowing grooming by letting me like touch his paws, because normally when you go to the groomers they'll clip their nails. That was it. And this one is accepting a friendly stranger and sitting politely for petting.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You too. Would you like to pet my dog?
Sure. Good, I'm full.
So, we failed walking on the loose leash because he really likes to pull. We failed walking through a crowd because he found it too distracting and overwhelming to not be able to focus on me. And once I said before, he loves other dogs and doesn't understand why he can't hop on top of them. So we didn't really pass the accepting another acceptable reaction to another dog. And we failed the supervised separation, which was the last portion of the test, where I had to leave the room for 3 minutes and he couldn't handle it and started whining and crying and I had to come back inside. So I chose this baby picture because I don't really care that we failed, because I still find this a success, and he has been like so much happier and more confident, and just like I'm so happy that I did this. And this is me and him working on loose leash walking. Once again, just making myself the bigger reward with more treats. And I just wanted to include this video because it's really funny, so you can kind of understand how he reacts to other dogs. This is good content. See, he's like freaking out, like. And it's hard because he's like 70 pounds and he's just like following me. So I am not a person to give up, and I find myself to be very resilient. And this quote kind of interacts with me, I guess. It's, "The oak fought the wind and was broken. The willow bent when it must and survived." And I don't want to give up on my dog, and I don't care that we didn't pass, because we can have another shot and we can keep working, because he has a whole life ahead of him. So my plan is to go into Bar Harbor this summer for people watching. As I said before, it's just more desensitization and crowd walking, more desensitization, doing it over and over again, because you know the sidewalks on Bar Harbor are packed with tourists, so that makes it easier to like have an opportunity to do that. And for loose leash walking, this is kind of funny, but what I'm gonna do is we'll be like in our living room, like a normal setting familiar to both of us, and I'm just going to have him follow me around with like treats, and I'll be walking, and then I'll be running, and then I'll be sidestepping and lunging, so it looks really weird what I'm doing, but that's like so rewarding for a dog to be like, this is so exciting. So then he'll be focusing on me, and then we'll go into slightly less familiar areas until we're eventually outside and I'm the main focus of the walk. And for separation anxiety, I'm just going to leave him with friends more often, just for little briefs at a time, like maybe an hour, and then have him have a really good time, like have my friends like play with him and like feed him and walk him and just show him a really good time so that he's not so scared when I'm not there. So we have some stuff lying ahead. I'm very, very happy for Jua, and I'm also happy for myself because I've been so lucky and fortunate to have had this opportunity to study canine behavior and do something meaningful with my new learning. And I'm proud of myself for bettering animals' life with this new knowledge. This fall, as I said before, we're going to Southern Maine Community College together because he's my emotional support animal, and I know that it's going to be so much easier than it would have been if I hadn't done dog training. And I think that's really powerful. So I would like to thank Whitney Thurston, my mentor, for everything that she has done for me and being such a kind, patient, and flexible, and generous, and just awesome person in general. And my teacher, Miss Dillon, for helping me do this whole project, get everything organized and fluid and moving. And everyone who helped me along the way, like my aunt, and Miss McLaughlin, and Miss Gertler, and everyone who helped me and supported me along the way. And thank you. Questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Ivy?
Sure.
I just want to say this was really interesting, and I think that it's awesome that you're talking about mental health in the public arena. I know sometimes that can be challenging to do. My question for you is, how does your anxiety and the dog's anxiety like interact? Like if you're feeling anxious, does the dog get more anxious or vice versa? No.
It's just kind of like if I feel like I'm having a panic attack, he's not going to really feed into that at all because he's in his own world a little bit. So like I'll just like hug him and like hold him and like pet him, and then he's having a good time because I'm petting him. So he gives off a really good energy, and then when he's anxious, I know that like I can be in control and just be like, it's okay, and I'll pet him and then he's fine. Lynx?
Does he have sleep issues? Because I know some dogs who have anxiety can't really sleep. Is that a thing?
He sleeps very well.
Oh, he does.
He snores too. Wait,
What's the favorite trick that you touch with?
wave.
Yeah.
Yes.
What did you learn most about yourself?
That's a good question.
That I'm capable of a lot more than I give myself credit for. Like this way, like I was on my way to Senior X, and on the side of the road there was like these people like trying to get this dog because it was like running around, and like it was really scared, and they were just like, don't touch him, like he's gonna bite you. And then I just put his leash on him, and then there's like, you have the magic touch, and then I was just like, thank you. But now he's home safe, so don't worry. Casey?
How old do you have to be to like take these trainings?
Wait,
Anyone?
that's what I thought.
Any?
Yes.
In your training process, was agility ever discussed? Because I've heard agility can actually help a dog with their anxiety and
Yeah, we did talk about that a little bit, but at the same time, just once we do like more classes and he's more used to a classroom setting, I feel like it would be easier. And I don't know, I take him around for hikes a lot, so he gets to run loose and like have fun. But I completely I've been thinking a lot about agility because I know that that's really beneficial. Is that it? Links?
Well, have you noticed any coordination with his diet to his anxiety?
He eats everything, including my pillows. So yeah, when I leave him like at home, and I don't give him enough treats or like enough toys, then he'll just eat all my pillows. So I hope that answers your question. Yes.
sorry, I got another one. Can you talk a little bit more about how it's going to work for you taking your dog to school with you?
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's going to be living on campus with me in my dorm, and we already moved into a kind of small apartment right now. So what he's getting used to is longer walks. Like I walk him for like about an hour a day, and we still go for hikes and stuff on the weekend, and just more inside time for longer periods of time. So, but more exhaustion and hard walks like throughout the day, so that it's not as feeling cramped. So that's what I'll be doing a lot in college, is more walks. And there's this beautiful like shore path at SMCC that I want to take him on, and he also really likes to swim, so I'll take him to the ocean. And yeah, this project was really helpful because I'm studying mammal rescue and treatment, so it's really interesting to be able to like study animal behavior right before I go. Okay, thank you.